No, you will put the right rear sunshine or is this where it's festive. I know. When are you running? Yes. Are you running in 2025? Oh, she doesn't know. You have to do
third grade, fifth grade. I forgot about the youngest. This is first year. I still think of it.
I don't know, I gotta figure that out. I'm gonna have Dan actually all the seats that are open for July 24, and then I need to start getting everybody ready. All of them. How'd you get that? So did you start it? Yeah. Oh, get me off the camera.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Approximately 10 till 6. In accordance with board policy, this is to announce and advise all attendees tonight's board meeting is being recorded. Persons wishing to address the board on any agendized or non-agendized item must fill out a speaker card, and I'll have speaker cards up here.
Just a reminder to the board to speak into the microphone for the live stream, please.
And we will please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Are you going to volunteer to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Yep. Ready to begin.
Ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Born and unborn, of course.
Are you with the Republican? Yeah. I met your friend last week. She had like a cute little book just I'm Chrissy. Nice to meet you. Chrissy.
Board, we have an agenda this evening. Do we have anybody to motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
Motion by Karen. Second by Juliana. Please vote.
We don't have anything yet.
I gotta log back in.
You do. If you want to give me a verbal, we can move it along.
We have a, all in favor, say yea.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Nays? None. 5-0.
Is everyone logged in? Yes. Did you refresh? Yes. Jonathan?
Okay. I'll refresh one more time. Moving to item 6A, as we work through this, report out of closed session. In closed session, it was moved by Karen and seconded by Joe to accept the settlement agreement on DS 2022-23-03. The roll call vote was 5-0. That's our only out of closed session reporting. Next, we have information and discussion under 7A, Bostonia Global Charter, high school update. Darrell?
Hello, can you turn on the microphone and make sure you speak into the microphone?
Is it possible to?
Yeah, just go up to your Apple Play in the boardroom. Just slide it up.
Well, good evening. Is this on?
You just slide it to on.
I did. Slid it back on. I can speak loudly. That works.
Closer to the microphone.
How's that? Oh, perfect. Good. Well, good evening, board. Honored to be here with you this evening. My thought process for tonight, because several of you are new, was to give you an overview of our charter and kind of go through what it is that we're about, and then as well talk through our LCAP and just sort of our main goals, and present to you where we are currently in terms of our progress. Okay. So Bostonia Global, we're an in-district charter. We are TK through 11th grade this year, and our focus is on all of our scholars knowing them intrinsically well. We wanted to develop a vision where we could change the lives of our scholars and change the mindsets in terms of where they are in their future skills and who they want to become. So in terms of our focus, our vision and mission, it's rather simple. It matches the district mission and vision, which is happy kids, healthy relationships on a pathway to gainful employment. And our whole focus is around this idea of exploring our strengths, interests, and values. We have several design elements, which I think are very clear as you get to know our model and what we're about. The first one is this intent idea around advisory. And the concept of advisory is we wrap around our students and know them really, really well. So often in school, we have many gaps that form between knowing who the students are, and a lot of it is we have to think about the relationships with our scholars as being at the forefront in terms of the importance of what we do. And so we have at the school site a tremendous amount of focus in terms of the advisory model and knowing our students really well. We spend a lot of time with them. We wrap with them in terms of next years, and we really are intrinsically thoughtful about who they are, what are their students' values, and what is it that we can do as a school site to continuously shift around what it is that they like to do. The second design element is around this idea of competency-based learning. As a system, we're focused on competency-based models in terms of knowing students not just now, but in their future selves. And the way that we explain this to our parents is that this is a slight shift from a traditional grading system in that it's never too late to learn. And a competency-based model is focused on learning over time rather than a moment in time, right? And the easy example of this is you many times will have to take a test. Does the test show the knowledge of the student fully, or are there other ways that the student can demonstrate their knowledge over the time frame of being in school? And so as a school site, we're focused on that knowledge growth. The next idea is this idea of world of work. This, I think, is one of our intrinsic focuses as a school site, is that we're focused not just now, but in their future selves and who will they become. All of our scholars, as they head off to high school, have a focus on mentorships. And so Tuesdays and Thursdays, we leave to learn, and we head out to community and build community partnerships with a wide range of organizations, and are focused on the future of who our students are, what they're becoming. So as the year begins, we focus on interest walls, we focus on the right set, we learn about who our scholars are and what is it that they actually are interested in. As we start diving into the year as a whole, we start doing a career exploration, virtual mentorships, we start doing a lot of work around their resumes, because believe it or not, high school students need to learn how to write a resume. We do a lot of work around elevator pitches, we do a work-based fair, and then around this time, we start focusing in on the actual mentorship. So we're very excited that our scholars have started their mentorship process, and these are some examples of mentorships which our scholars are at currently. And so I think one of the most exciting ones that we were able to build was with Heartland Fire, which just started this last week. We have a group of scholars who are there and doing mentorships with Heartland and learning that a firefighter department does not just include firefighters, but they also include medics, they include technicians, they include people doing IT. It's an entire world within just a company or a department. And so this is a big area of growth for us, is learning through that. As well as we're very thankful for the district that has had over 40 students do partnerships with the district as of the last few weeks. And we have mentorships ranging from accounting to IT, to logistics, to print shop, all the way into safety and TEDx, which is, I think, is a brilliant way to demonstrate that we are all focused on our students' futures and who they are. We really are focused on this idea of family connections, and we do exhibitions throughout the year And the idea of family connections is, unfortunately, as students get older and older, there tends to be a drop-off in the amount of focus our parents have in terms of the value of their students' education. And so we have a flip on that of, as they get older, the importance grows. And we have to be walking hand in hand with our parents throughout the process. This last week, or 2 weeks ago, we had UC Berkeley come down, and they were presenting to the students just around their schools. The students are doing a lot of college searches as well as tours currently. And part of this process is important not only for the students, but also for their parents, and teaching them through that process of, you are part of our family, we really value your input in everything we do. And the last concept is in this idea of reimagining post-secondary, and I'll talk a little bit about that in just a minute. But the idea is we do want to think about the future a little differently. As we have these conversations with our community partners, with industry, much of the conversation revolves around what truly are the skills and assets that are needed to be successful in the future. And a lot of that has shifted from when I was in school. And so the idea now becomes, what is it that we're doing now to be very thoughtful about the future of our scholars as they go through the system? And so as a focus in terms of our LCAP, we have 5 main goals, and these are the goals that sort of Bostonia wraps our thought process around. And I wanted to go through those with you. The first one is ensuring high-quality learning experiences, where we are focused on this idea, this tenet of multiculturalism, multiliteracy, multilingualism, with an idea of curiosity, investigating the world, communicating ideas, and making a difference in a global region, a global context. And so our K-8 portion of our school system is a dual language program where we spend a lot of emphasis on what is this big world, what is it that we're doing, and how can we change the mindsets around what is it ultimately that we're able to do. We really focus on empowerment of our scholars and being able to share their ideas with the world around them. The 3 photos you have there are 3 ones that are special to us. The first one is an exhibition where the scholars presenting their learning and presenting basically an argument around why is it that they are able to do what they do. We don't take learning for granted. We spend a lot of focus on the argument and really dive into it deeply and so you can understand. The second one is a project proposal. The way our high school model works is that the advisors, the teachers, they propose their projects to the scholars, and the scholars then have choice in choosing what is it that they really want to dive into. And so that for us is a main key point as we have our design focus in terms of what it is that we wanted. And the third picture is with our NUVU scholars, and this is a partnership we have with NUVU Studios, which is a group that's it's an affiliate of MIT, and basically the idea is design work, and so much of the future is around design and understanding how can we take complex issues and problems and figure out design solutions to those, and that's a little bit of what you get to see there. Here's some more. The second goal is around how do we advance student-centered learning. This is a real major priority because you have to wrap around in terms of what are the students actually interested in, encouraging to use their curiosity, their focuses that they are learning now, and investigating the world around them. And so there's 3 photos there that I want to share with you. The first one is one of our scholars, Jolene. We have a partnership that we created this year with Thinkist, which is a corporation that's focused on tutoring. And we have a group of our scholars that are doing tutoring services for other scholars in lower grade levels in Bostonia. And this is a certificate that's industry recognized as a tutor, which is a pretty awesome thing that they're able to do that. Jolene was giving a presentation to a group of tutors in San Diego around her experiences and the value she had in showing that she as a freshman can already start demonstrating her own skills and her own values in the world around her. The second one is part of our process in the mentorship process is a partnership with Illumina, which is a biotech company firm that's located here in San Diego. And this was a presentation that our scholars were doing recently to folks over at Illumina, sharing their strengths, interests, and values. And this is part of their virtual mentorships. And the last is an exhibition that scholars are doing in a project area that is a focus to them. The third is around this idea of healthy relationships. As students get older, there's a misnomer that they don't need as much help and they're responsible and they can do it on their own. The reality is, no, actually, we need a lot of support in that time frame of their life. It's a tough time now in our society to be a high school student. And so wrapping around services with them and supporting them. And so those 3 pictures, the first one is this idea of a mentor. We have at Bostonia focus on mentorships and really being able to wrap around students with somebody out in the community who knows them really well. Our goal is that every scholar has a mentor, every scholar has their own pathway, every scholar is able to build out their future selves and who they want to be. The second is a current mentorship with one of our own teachers here in Cajon Valley, where she has a group of high school students that are focused on education as the career that they want to partake in. And so they're in there and working in the educational environment and learning, is this truly something that I'm passionate about? Is this something that I want to do with my life? And the third is an interest area of our scholars. Many of our scholars are focused on soccer. This is a passion of theirs. And so we have an after-school soccer league that we have our students participating in. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt.
No problem.
Can you expand this?
Oh, for sure.
Thanks.
Thank you, Anthony. Is that better?
Yes, I can read now.
Okay, yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah, so the idea is, passion is a major idea of what we want to focus in on. And passion is just the starting point, really gets into interest and value and what is it that we want to do in terms of our future selves. The next idea is this idea around how do we do targeted intervention. And for this one, it has to do with the reality that all of our students are in different places. They all have differentiated needs. And so we want to focus on each of them individually. And so the intense focus there is around professional development for our advisors, around tutoring services for our students, around interventions that are appropriate depending on their need and their level and what that looks like. And so that's been a major area of focus in terms of our budget this year, is what can we do to really support the needs of our students. COVID and the pandemic created a lot of challenges for students, especially as they entered high school. And it's been a really large challenge in terms of being able to differentiate in that wide spectrum that you're seeing right now in terms of where students are, and so really supporting them with that. The fifth goal, which is one that I'm very excited about, is this idea of ensuring multiple post-secondary options and really being thoughtful about the purpose of our high school is not just focusing on the day-to-day, it's focusing on their future selves. Who is it that they want to be? The majority of our time is spent on that, and so with that, we have to understand that with Bostonian, Global's focus is not a CTE options for students, right? We have like a couple of different options that are available to students. Rather, we do a pathway for every student. And so these three pictures demonstrate three different pathways that are available as of many. The first one is a group of students and parents that were there with Berkeley as they talked to us. We had the same group meeting with SDSU and with Mariposa College and Cuyamaca and all of these different groups that are there that are supportive and wonderful opportunities. The second one is one that's very exciting, and Scott's in this picture. And this is John Heredia, who is one of our the director of maintenance here at our campus. And this is a moment that I just happened to walk by and capture where he's offering one of our scholars, Jay, a mentorship. And talking to him about, this is not just about right now, this is about, I'm going to be there with you for a long time. And are you committed to that? And it was a really stern and strong conversation with Jay. And Jay was all into it. And Jay's focus is construction. His family comes from a construction background. That is his pride and his goal as a future self. And so that moment was awesome to see Jay connecting with somebody who, I don't know if anybody who's as connected as John in that community. He knows everybody. So a wonderful asset and a wonderful person to be there with them. And the last one is also an area of excitement for us. We recently were able to finally start our dual enrollment classes with Cuyamaca College. And so that was a Counseling 120 class, which is basically the starting class that they do for high school students, or rather for college students. And this is getting to know what it is that they want to do with their careers. The fun part about this is students at Cajon Valley have spent so much time talking through this that much of the curriculum she's presenting is stuff that they already know. And so this is easy. They were excited about that. So for them, this was a part of a focus of, we really want our scholars to understand that they, as high schoolers, can already get a tremendous amount of college work done now, and that's part of our role of supporting them in that. And this goes into the concept about why do we do a pathway for all? And this is something I'm going to present to you. It's something that we'll likely be working much more towards, but the idea of what are the options out there currently for our scholars? What are things that we can do to support them? And this is a partnership that I'm pursuing and trying to move forward in, is with ASU, Arizona State University, which has an incredible approach to the idea of learner coursework. And I'm just going to show you just an idea here. And that is, there is no penalty for failure. And one of the main fear areas of our parents is what happens if they don't pass a course, a college course. And the reality is, that's a really bad thing, because that goes on their transcript, and that transcript is actually going to affect their ability to get into college. And so what ASU has done is basically it's $25 to jump into a course, right? And the idea then from there is if they want that on their transcript, then they pay the amount that is the full amount. And so this allows this basic idea that integration and support for students is across the board. Anybody can jump into these. And so part of what we're focusing then on Bostonia is then what does this look like? Could we have students who want to do AWS cloud computing certificates or other certificates that are out there start doing that now as of ninth graders? And the answer is yes. And so this is a big focus of ours, is starting to get our students to be able to have the access to whatever career they want at an early age and to start building those pathways for themselves. And so this is an example of what that looks like. These are courses that accrue to 60 credits, which would allow a student who would want to pursue this with the ability to have their AA upon completion of our high school. And then our goal with ASU is to pursue what would it look like to actually move past that what that may become. And so, in a nutshell, the focus of our entire school site is around what does it mean to be centered around each student? Truly, what does that mean in terms of focusing on their future selves and their passions and their interests and values? And so this is an article that came out a few months ago. The idea was there is data now coming through in terms of doing work-based experiences in high school does attribute to a higher career success rate. And so as we look forward into what are the demand sectors currently in El Cajon and San Diego, that is something that we want to focus in on. What can we do to impact our community? What is the long-lasting change we can make? And ultimately, what is it that we're going to do to create a better El Cajon, a better San Diego place for our students to live? Thank you. That's an interest. Any questions?
Questions from the board?
Thank you, Narelle. Thank you, Narelle. That was a wonderful explanation. I appreciate your time.
Always. And I invite everybody who'd like to come. We'd love to share with us.
I love the slideshow, but it did remind me a little bit about the Girl Scout cookie order form. I don't know if that's just because it's around right now, but if you look at it, and you look at the Girl Scout cookies, that's what it reminded me of. But I love what we're doing in Bostonia, so thank you. Keep up the good work.
I'd like to make one more comment, and I appreciate that you allow internships to happen across the board through all businesses. So even, for example, the business that I work in, I would be able to fill out somewhat of an information sheet to tell your school what kind of activity that your students would be participating in, and for businesses that are out there that might be interested in internships, maybe you might want to look into that with Bostonia. So thank you.
Sure.
And my only comment is, Morel, remember a few years ago, we're in Seattle, big picture learning, and everybody picked their schools or their projects to go look at. And you and I went to get the neck. And here we are today. Just the progression from that conference to today with Bostonia, I couldn't be more proud. Thanks for your work.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Board, moving on, section 8A. It's recommended that the governing board approve the recommendations of the administrative hearing panel in the matter of student 2022/2023 AH05. Do we have a motion?
Motion to adopt.
Motion by Karen. Second by Joe. Any questions or discussion? Vote, please. Anderson. Matter passes 5-0. Going to 8B. It's recommended that the governing board approve the recommendation of the administrative hearing panel in the matter of student 2022/2023 AH06. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Joe. Second. Second by Anthony. Please vote. Passes 5-0. Next on our line items here are the consent items, but we do have a speaker card on the consent agenda. I will say that that's the first in my 6 years. So Sharif Finn will please come to the speaker podium.
Which one is this one? She had me fill out 2 words.
This is with regard to
And your
minutes.
time starts now. Go ahead. It'll just take 30 seconds.
Just for the record, I did not come before this board and request money for the RAD movement. So if you can reflect that in the minutes.
Pardon me, ma'am?
If you could reflect that in the minutes, that I did not come before you at the last meeting requesting money for the RAD movement. I was simply making a study remark in jest. So if you could correct the minutes, that'd be great.
Thank you.
That would be the special January 31st.
So that's the
So the special board, that'd be the 90.
my own motion, then I will move that we redact and correct the minutes, taking out the statement, or taking out the sentence starting with she is the founder of the RAD movement. And by a manner of full disclosure, as a board member to the El Cajon Posse, my organization has donated in support of the RAD movement. So that's separate and apart from this particular matter that I wanted to be disclosed. Anthony's president of our board and has been very involved in the great work that you guys are doing. We talked about it the other night in our board meeting. But no, I don't recall that either in the minutes, so we will redact that, please. May I have a second on that particular motion for redaction?
Second.
Second by Anthony.
Well, that was the statement that was made, that if we're going to waste money on a contract, then she would ask that we spend it on her.
That was
And I can
not.
pull them.
I have the video.
I also have the
Okay,
video.
guys, long story short, even if it was made, it would be made as some sort of a jest and or off-center remark. Absolutely, we're going to remove that from our minutes. And I'll ask for an oral vote. All in favor? Aye. Any nays? No, passes 5-0. So with that, we have a consent agenda with that modified minute under 9A. So do we have a motion to adopt the consent agenda? Or approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Joe,
Second.
second by Karen.
I would like to, if I may, Sam and Shireen Atisha donated $15,000 to Meridian Elementary School. So before we pass through this consent, I just want to thank them for that.
Thank you.
I don't know
Absolutely.
that would be appropriate.
No, that's great.
No, absolutely.
Pointing that out, giving money.
No, thank you. Yes. As modified, passes 5-0. We now move into our action items. So action item 10A is the delegation assembly election. Board, we received number of names for purposes of the assembly election. We each get to designate our votes, no more than 7 candidates. We basically do this by roll. So we'll start with Anthony. Give me your, and keep in mind, you don't have to go to all 7 names, but give me the names you'd like to have put down, and then we kind of consolidate at the end and see who goes.
Can I go last?
Sure.
Sorry. I don't get this list pulled up here.
Joe will go first. Joe is voluntary.
Barbara Ryan. Delia Dominguez Cervantes.
And are those the only 2?
Yes.
Who would like to go next? Juliana?
Eva, Delia, and Barbara.
Karen?
Let's see, Delia and Barbara. I think that's it for me.
Anthony, I'll honor your request to go last, and I'll take the spot.
All right.
All right. Melissa Crowe, Barbara Ryan,
What was the first one? Sorry.
Melissa Crowe, Krogh, Barbara Ryan, Delia Dominguez, and Delia Dominguez Cervantes.
That's going to look like I copied you. Melissa Crowe, Delia Dominguez, Cervantes, and Barbara Ryan.
So which ones seem to be unanimous?
Delia and Barbara, Ryan, and then we have 2 for Melissa Crowe and 1 for Eva Lopez.
Any other discussion on the vote that were not received 3 votes? Then the 2 that were unanimous will pass through. Next, action item 10B.
Wait, did we do the other 2 as well?
No, because they didn't
So
have a
just the
majority of the
2
vote.
did not.
Correct. Ten B, this will hopefully be the last time I read or hear this. It is recommended that the governing board adopt a resolution to continue governing board authority to hold virtual meetings pursuant to AB 361 if needed. Now we'll just see if the governor does or doesn't with the state of emergency at the end of the month. Do we have a motion?
Motion?
Motion by Joe. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Karen. No discussion, please vote. Item passes 4-1. Item 10C. It's recommended that the governing board adopt the quarterly Williams Settlement Uniform Complaint Report for October through December 2022. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Karen, second.
Second.
Second by Anthony. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. Passes 5-0. Moving to 10D. It's recommended that the governing board approve and ratify the consultants listed, consultant agreements. Do we have any motions?
I motion to pull item 6 and vote separately.
Do we have a second to amend item 10D, pull 6, voted separately?
Second?
Second by Joe. We'll have an oral vote on that particular topic. Please vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody?
Okay, wait a second. So we're voting on,
We're voting to pull 6 in order to vote on it separately.
okay, that one we can vote.
Any in opposition?
So we can,
So we will separately discuss that in the rest of the consulting
There's a
agreement.
motion on the floor to pull 6 for a separate vote. That's the motion.
That is the motion that we just voted on. Yes.
So now we're voting for the item.
We're voting for, no. Now we're going to vote on the consulting agreements with the exception of 6. And then we will address 6 after that vote.
Okay, you can vote online.
And that passes 5-0. Moving to subsection 6, trustee Carnevale.
All right. First, I want to stress the consultant listed, Karen Sapper, appears to be extremely well qualified. Has been a principal employee of our district for well over 10 years. What I wanted to understand from cabinet is this in addition to their employment with the district, or are they leaving employment with the district to carry out this consulting agreement?
She's been retired, but by all means, Karen, please take on it.
She has been, she left us as a director last year, at the end of last year, and under STRS, you need to remain off schedule. You can't be working for 6 months. And then her 6 months was in December, and we'd like to bring her back as a consultant. The majority of the work is supporting sites with their rollout of their site plans. We have 33% of our existing sitting principals have less than 5 years of experience. It's a lot to learn. You don't learn everything in your first several years. We have 27 new assistant principals because of ELOC and coordinating our day and after school program. So these all go into the site plans. So this was the recommendation from now to June to find the support, and we'll be looking for ongoing support for that.
That's all the questions I have.
With the question, and I had spoken to Karen about this previously, so I want to thank cabinet for clarifying some of my questions I had prior to the meeting. With that, we will vote separately on 10-6. Is that something, Naomi, we need to do orally now?
Yes, not.
Okay. So, first, motion to approve. We need Need a motion.
Motion to approve?
Motion by Karen, second by Juliana. So all in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any in opposition? No. That will pass 5-0. Coming down to item 10E, that is to approve the school accountability report card. I want to thank Karen again for her explanations in our Friday update that came out from Superintendent Marashiro. Do we have a motion to approve? Motion from Juliana. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Karen. Any questions or discussion?
Yes, on the, let's see, I have Crest pulled up for an example, and I'm looking at page 9 of 25.
Correct.
Is it a blank?
It's school facility conditions and planned improvements.
Did you say 5 of 25?
9 of 25.
Got it.
And this is a general question about this, how the ratings are given on this for the cabinet. Like who goes out and does this survey and then checks the, rate good or rate fair or rate poor on these conditions.
I think Scott would be the best person.
Our maintenance department, they go out to all the sites for the county, using call auditors. They walk on each side of the auditors and rotate any discrepancies. It's drinking balance not working properly, whether it's not working properly, and light fixtures. And then they score that based on how many market gallons they have.
Got it. Thank you, Scott. On the second thing on page 9 here for external windows at Crest. When I was there for a school visit, the glazing compound around the windows was like missing. A lot of places are cracked or worn. Would this survey be the thing that would identify to address that, or is there a different survey that we might do on that?
It could come up. I'm not sure if glazing necessarily. I'm not even talking around would come up. There's broken windows or that kind of thing. For sure that would come up, but that could be more of a work order that a site just needs to put in for maintenance to seal around the windows, or at least to look at that. That's one thing. Our windows, a lot of our schools are 50 years old. Those are the original windows, and that's why when we come later today about facilities master plan, those are kind of things we look at, see about replacing window systems. And a lot of our sites have done a great job of doing the print shop, actually installing graphics and distance. You can't even tell 50-year-old windows, but I think that close sometimes.
All right. Thank you, Scott.
With that clarification, we have a motion on the table. Please vote. Passes 5-0. Coming to item F. It's recommended that the governing board adopt a resolution approving material revision of the charter for Canoe Academy. And I want to thank everybody again for the presentations. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Anthony.
Second.
Second by Karen. Hearing no questions, we will proceed. Please vote. Passes 5-0. Now for item G, we do have 2 public comment cards. So folks, if you will please, the first person will please take a seat at the table, and the next person will please stand right behind them. That would be appreciated. If we will please have Deborah, is it Mueller, Toffmeyer?
Toffmeyer.
Toffmeyer. Next, Carissa.
Are you speaking on that?
Hi, I wanted to ask a few questions about the contract and at least bring to light some of the problems that I'm seeing with it when I reviewed it. First and foremost, the contract states it's a benefit of the district, and I'm not saying that's possible with the terms that are listed there, the 0% loan with the 2-year repayment, and then an ability to waive these funds back to the district. There should be some type of provision for oversight, some type of budget attached here, a promissory note. There should be an amount of money that's listed here. There should be a place to send payments back to the district. I know that the benefit is the supposed 2.9% profit. However, without a budget and a business plan, how do you even know there'll be a profit here to share? It seems to me that you're just looking at losing money and spending our money frivolously without a lot of concern. This contract just seems really flimsy, and it should be reviewed and at least altered to benefit the school district and a repayment that's actual.
Thank you.
Okay, ready?
I would encourage you also to relook at that repayment plan and really get the numbers. I know that maybe you guys have more information than the public does because there's kind of like a little bit of a shadow board here, but I think that bringing a lot more of that to the public and transparent. For instance, I'm obviously on 2 parent groups, and part of being able to run alongside the school means that we have to provide reports to the public on our financials, and as well as like where we're spending the money. And it's not even the money from the school, it's money that just goes to the school and the students. And I think it'd be beneficial before approving something that the public is able to see how the money from this conference or from the foundation is benefiting the students, how it's going to repay. We hear that it's going to happen, but there's no budgets, there's no really oversight from the public or anything where we can see anything tangible of how this is happening. And like I said, maybe you guys will know, I don't know, but we can't see it. So to us, the perception is that there's like a lot of different worlds of work, and we're not sure how the money is going to benefit our kids. Like is the money raised going to help Kelson and Chris and Carabelle and Matthew? I have 4 kids in the district. How are those funds going to help my kids? And if it's not, then maybe we should be reevaluating sending out that large sum of money when you could put that directly toward the kids now. I know there's several PTA and PTO moms in here that raise money to get basic needs for the schools. I just bought headphones for all of 5th grade. Our organization is paying for assemblies. We're paying for cleaning supplies, things to really help the teachers in the classroom where they're not paying out of pocket, or helping students who can't afford to go on a field trip. Parents are raising that money. So if we have this $300,000 or $200,000 or $50,000 or $5,000, perhaps instead of putting it toward a conference where the repayment plan and or the profit is unknown, putting it to the teachers who directly help our students today. Thank you.
Thank you. Board, first, thank you again for the public comments. Board, we have an item before us.
Hear from Scott or David on that.
Well, let's do it this way first. Let's first motion, and then we open it for questions and comments at that point. So it's recommended that the governing board approve repayment agreement with World of Work Foundation for expenses incurred for World of Work Conference in March of 2023. With that said, actually, I'm going to rescind what I just said. Go ahead and ask your question, Karen. That makes sense.
I would like to maybe have Scott or David kind of elaborate a little bit more.
Scott, start with the contract and you guys work and I'll prepare.
Foundation.
Okay, well, yeah, so a little bit of context on the foundation. A couple years ago, in a conversation with Narelle at Bostonia, we met with a board member from the Conrad Preface Foundation. They were interested in supporting the World of Work and asked if we had a 501c3. At the time, we said we did not. We said, well, in order for us to give you money, and several foundations have the same bylaws, you need to be a 501c3 to receive it. So I went through the process to create and establish the World of Work Foundation with the goal stated to support the students of this district.
I think the goal was to get grant money, ultimately, hopefully to tunes of $5–10 million coming in to build facilities for the district. That's the initial why this foundation was started, because it does a lot of work to run a foundation. We're already like running a district, and now we have a foundation. The district had a foundation previously that closed down. That would have been another conduit if it had been in existence, because that was a 501c3 as well. So we started this foundation to hopefully bring money into the district. This conference kind of has jumped ahead of that goal of bringing money into facilities, which is the initial plan. But the goal of this conference is not to lose money.
It's hard to hear you.
The goal of the foundation is not to lose money, and the goal is to eventually have money to support our kids. That's, if you look at the bylaws of the foundation, that's what it was written for. This conference, and I'll let David do a better job of me explaining it, but it's getting, we had several states ask to put this conference on. The money is coming back from their $750 fee to attend the conference. It's not a free conference. So everything we're spending and these expenses that you see in the contract are hopefully repaid 100%. In addition, there's a hope that we actually make money. And then that money can be determined to go back to the district to help our students. This conference indirectly will benefit our kids because we have staff going to this, we have principals going to this. So there's an indirect assistance to our students, but ultimately, any money raised is hopefully going back to our kids. But you'll see that in the back of the contract, it does spell out what the board has approved to date. Some things we had to put NA because we don't have all the costs. As you know, when you're putting a conference on for the first time, a lot of this is new to us as far as how much the hotel could have cost. The cost already that is approved is not necessarily the final cost, because that was minimum spends on meals, commitments for lodging. We're very close to fulfilling all those commitments based on the registrations today. I believe it's 250 people have already signed up to attend. Also have David and Cajon done a great job of getting sponsorships. Of over $100,000 so far. That money will come back to support this conference as well. So ultimately, this is, I think, Trustee Carnevale, you asked for a contract. I worked closely with Best Weston Krieger, who is our attorney firm for the district. It is completely legal to have them providing legal support for the foundation, as ultimately the goal is to support the kids of our district. And so they help craft this. In a perfect world, this may have been done before we started spending any funds. Unfortunately, the foundation was started in March. We quickly started going on this foundation planning, and it took a while for this contract to come before you. But ultimately, the board has the right to say whether they waive these. If there is a shortfall, which we hope there's not going to be one, but if there is, it's the board's goal, the way it's written, to determine that. By no means by you approving this automatically would relinquish any kind of shortfall. So, our attorneys, and as well as the foundation, helping out, wrote these documents. Want some other type of language, let me know. It's not set in stone.
Any other questions of staff?
Yeah, when you say Best Weston Krieger provided, I think, legal support to the foundation and then the attorneys for the district? Okay. Who do they represent with regard to drawing up this agreement?
It's based on input from my confirmation back from the board, requesting some kind of agreement, memorializing what the loan is. They crafted that, and I did put language in there, asking for the ability if the board wanted to, if there's a shortfall, to forgive that
cabinet. Everyone here?
Correct.
The, and I don't want to like jump in if any other trustees have questions. Yes. At the beginning it says, now therefore, and in consideration of the mutual covenants herein contained, and for other good and valuable consideration, the parties hereto do agree as follows. What is the good and valuable consideration in the agreement? That would be, sorry, page.
On page 1 at the bottom recitals.
Just above item 1.
It's called a boilerplate statement. But Scott, go ahead, whoever answers.
Well, I mean, this, our attorney's writing this.
So I've, you know, in my own line of work, done numerous repayment agreements. Consideration in a repayment agreement would refer oftentimes to interest paid on a loan, for example. This is a zero interest advance payment agreement, so that's why I was asking where the consideration may be here.
I think possibly then if the foundation makes money on this, as the goal, consideration is money going back to our students or district. The whole purpose of the foundation, if you read the bylaws, says clearly it's for supporting our students. There's no other purpose of the foundation. So we're a separate entity, since the tax ID number and all that, but ultimately the goal of that is to support our students.
So in this case, it memorializes approximately $366,000 voted from district funds. And as I understand district funds, when we spend money as a board, not we spend money as a board, but when we approve expenditures from district funds, we view that through the lens of how it benefits the students already. So it seems like an extra step to take money from district funds, put it in a foundation. Does any board members sit on that foundation or have any oversight or have attended a meeting of the World Work Foundation? So I still am on the consideration question. We're voting, we voted approximately $366,000 from district funds. And each of those agenda items said that the money will be repaid when we voted on those agenda items. Now this agreement seems to make it a little more nuanced than that. Number 4, where it says discharge of foundation's obligations, it lists that the foundation's obligations under section 3 shall be forgiven, discharged and excused upon the date. The A, aggregate amount of payments made to the foundation to the district equals the amount of advance funds, so we get paid back exactly what we're owed. Or the district's board of trustees forgives any portion of the advance funds that remains unpaid. So that would, to my mind, seem to actually weaken the votes we've already taken that says we will be repaid on this. This would create a situation where we wouldn't or may not be. Additionally, number 3, repayment of advance funds. No interest shall accrue on the advance funds. That goes back to my where's the valuable consideration on the repayment agreement. Foundation agrees that it shall repay the advance funds in their entirety from the funds that it receives from the conference. So from funds that it receives from the conference, which happens next month, at the earlier of 1, the second anniversary of the effective date, or 2, the date at which the foundation receives revenue of not less than the total amount of the advance funds. So if the foundation receives revenue less than the total amount of the advance funds, it seems to me in there that the foundation may be able to hold on to funds that it receives from the conference for up to the second anniversary of the effective date of this agreement. So if we approve it today, February of 2025, for a conference that happens next why is it a 2-year hold on that?
I think mostly is how is the foundation could have, if we are short, we have time to make up the money to pay back the district. So, and the foundation is brand new as of March. There's literally $0 in the bank account. So money is coming from this foundation for the conference we're putting on in hopes that we'll pay back all the money and then have some left over. But if there's a shortfall in the end, which I cannot say, I'll be honest, do our best to get registrations and sponsorships and expenses going out. But in the end, this $50,000 shortfall, then the foundation has to find a way to make that money up to the district unless the district chose to forgive it.
Yeah, I would like to see that in this agreement, because right now it says that the foundation says it will repay the advance funds from funds that it receives from the conference. So there's not an additional provision that if the conference comes up short, that the foundation would have to repay it from some other source of funds. Let's say if they got a donation, to return that back to the district funds. So right now, it kind of seems to pigeonhole us as a district anyway, to where there's no promise of repayment beyond if the foundation can get the funds it receives from the conference and those, it's enough to pay us back, and if not, then maybe we wait 2 years and don't see any payment, because it says the date at which the foundation receives revenue of not less than the total amount of the advance fund. So if you received $360,000, the way I read this, it's in the realm of possibility that, well, it's not $366,000, so that repayment provision isn't triggered, and it could sit there for 2 years outside of the oversight of this board.
Mr. President, my superintendent's report is a conference update. I'm happy to do it now if it pleases the board.
Well, so as president, I typically have to reserve my comments till the end. So I wanted to, Trustee Carnavale, wrap up if you had anything else, and then do allow any of the other trustees to either ask questions or make comments, and then I'll make my own comments, and I have an idea. But trustees, you guys go first. Anybody?
My question is to the cabinet. As far as how much money has the World of Work brought in, if possible, you can share that to date. And prior to the creation of the 401c3, where did that money go?
Okay, so first, I want to make sure that our comments and our questions are specific to this item. I think respectfully, Joe, that question goes beyond the item itself, right? Because we're talking about the foundation, the conference, and how the repayment and the structuring and the advancement of the payments go. Now, if you want to ask that question, please feel free to do so, but I want to keep us on track with what we're talking about tonight. So if anybody has the answer to Joe's question, please feel free to chime in. If not, we can get it at some point.
You don't have the exact dollar amount, but it goes to the general fund, and will continue to go to the general fund.
Meaning what?
The money that comes from World of Work goes into our general fund.
From field learning.
That's how it was established.
From this foundation?
No. The question that Joe asked was separate and apart really from the foundation and the contract question. I just asked if it could be answered while we were sitting here. So the exact amount of what has been earned or revenue brought in is not, we don't have that because that's not agendized tonight, right? But no, the funds from World of Work itself do go into our general fund. That's how we established it initially. So, any other questions?
Can we get a report or maybe a budget given to us so we kind of understand what that looks like? Thank you.
I'll second that. Not that it's necessary. So the good and valuable consideration question, I don't feel has been answered yet on this. So I'm inclined to vote no.
Well, if I may, Trustee Carnavale. So, a couple of topics. One, I will explain to Trustee Carnavale good and valuable consideration how that works in contract law, because it's not just money, the way those things work. So that's not my concern. My concern, however, is, and was going to bring it up, so Anthony caught it first, was the repayment procedure. I think that the repayment, as it's drafted, needs some wordsmithing, and I don't think it needs to be a lot drastic. But my suggestion on this particular item would be to table the item and bring it back at our next meeting. So that the language in the repayment specifically needs to be clarified, because I do believe, as it's drafted, it's ambiguous as to repayment, because it does seem that we could earn $300,000 and the foundation doesn't have to repay that until total monies come in. I think we can clarify that language very simply, that as money comes in, the foundation repays the district, and whether that be on a net 30 or net 60, however we want to do that. But I think it needs to be clarified, and that was going to be my comment as well. Like I said, I got to wait for you. But the other provisions, again, I'm not concerned with, because I can read the contract as it stands. But that provision, I do agree with Trustee Carnevale that we need to wordsmith that a bit. So on my own motion, I would vote to table this item and have it brought back after additional work done by our legal team. Do I have a second on my motion? Second. Second by Anthony. Oh, do you have a question, Jim?
Just to clarify Karen's comment, would Best and Critter be able to come and present on behalf of that?
Well, Karen's question was about the budget. So that's the best for our lawyers on this particular topic. So we have a second. We'll do an oral vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any nays? No. So we will table this item to the next meeting, please, and we'll have more work from cabinet. I'm happy to review it again with our best creator. I worked with them when we did the trademark world of work. So, moving to our next item, that's H. It's recommended that the governing board adopt a resolution to ratify purchase of one Ford F-350 truck from Penske Ford and authorize purchases up to 3 additional work trucks without competitive bidding. I believe that we've all been briefed on our Friday updates as to what's going on with the supply chains. There's an outline within our agenda. Do we have a motion on this item?
Motion. Second.
I'm going to go motion with Joe, second from Karen on that particular item. Please vote. That item passes 5-0. Moving now to H. It's recommended that the governing board approve the agreement with Brunel Clark Architects for architectural services for the facilities master plan and authorize staff to execute necessary documents. Do we have a motion on this matter?
Motion.
Motion by Joe. Do we have a second? Second by Juliana. Questions or comments? Comments? Hearing none, please vote. Vote passes 5-0. Moving to item J. This is to approve the architectural services. Governing board agreement with HED Architects for architectural services for installation of hydration stations at all school sites and authorize staff to execute necessary documents. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Joe. Second by Juliana. I do want to thank staff for comments and questions that I had associated with this item. Please vote. And the item passes 5-0. Moving into communications, 11A. Do we have a moment of silence needed this evening?
We do not.
We do not. Next, retirements. Michelle.
We actually have several retirements. It's becoming that season. We have Joa Brucesi, paraeducator from Lexington. He's retiring after 18 years of service with us. Cindy Anderson, our data assessment technician upstairs in Ed Services, who's retiring after 16 years of service. Will be with us until June. Vilma Cajon, she's a child nutrition worker. She's retiring, actually she retired in January and she was with us for 15 years. Kelly Donasimo, our library media technician, Mr. Grande, is retiring, and Hall, she was working at Hall as well. She retires in June after 25 years of service with us. Candy Hill, another of our para-educators who works at Hamishaw, is retiring in March after 18 years of service with us. And Shirley Kaiser, one of our child nutrition workers at Cajon Valley, is retiring after 32 years of service with us. Some really fabulous folks moving on. And we have one of our teachers, a second grade teacher at Avocado, Catherine O'Donoghue, is retiring in June. And Catherine has worked with the district for 16 years.
That's a lot of years in our district. Please thank them for us.
Fabulous people.
Next, we have public participation. We do have a few public participation cards. As with the previous sessions, folks, if the first person will please sit at the table with the microphone and then line up behind them. Sherry Finn, you're going first again. Congratulations. Next, if Mohammed Tuama will please line up behind. David, if you'll please line up behind Mohammed. There are 5 additional cards after that, but we'll go 3 at a time.
Yep. The last meeting I attended was the first meeting I've attended for this district. I live in Blossom Valley, but I choose to place my child in a private school. I was here to oppose the illegal contract that this district had made with Termo Otero. I left here completely disgusted that day. I attend the Grosse Light Union High School District Board meetings regularly because my organization partners with them to keep kids safe. I have sat in so many of those board meetings and never seen board members, I'm not speaking to all of you, some of you, be so disrespectful to each other and to the people sitting up here who voted you in. Not one of you are above or immune from the law. I've worked with some of the most prestigious lawyers in this town for over 26 years. I've also worked with some of the most ethical judges as well. Not only do I know the law, I know how to interpret it. The drama surrounding this board right now is out in the public. It's in the media. You should be embarrassed. You really need to do better. Come together. Conduct yourselves ethically. And make the law compass by doing so. We elect you. We are your constituents. There needs to be a certain level of respect that's shown when we come here to speak to you and address things that we feel are important to us, especially when it comes to our children. You know, the one thing that stood out to me, which was so disturbing, was when you referred to your constituents, Jim, as the peanut gallery. That was very offensive. And I didn't appreciate it. Let the record show that he's busy writing something and not listening to me.
I am listening to you because I take notes.
I am aware of the threats that are being made regarding slander and libel right now. It needs to stop. Again, I know how to read and interpret the law, so I caution you in attacking people and threatening them with libel and slander lawsuits. I'm here tonight to ask you guys to humble yourself, acknowledge your wrongdoings, and fix it. Just do better. Thank you. Okay, ready?
My name is Mohammed Tuama. I'm a home and business owner here in Cajon, and most importantly, a parent of 2 students here in this district. So I've been engaged with the district for many years before. I helped a lot of projects and programs and almost any of them. The hope was before is to create a real community engagement program that works for my Middle Eastern community. That was the goal. And after everything worked good, the district was funded for the community engagement. Tamara Otero just flipped on us. And I came here 2 years ago, and I mentioned it. And she referred me to David Miyashiro, her employee. And when I talked to him, we want to have real community engagement. Not the fake program, what you call FACE program, that we call fake program. And David Miyashiro asked me for a few things that I'm never gonna do. And he wanted me to be a slave to him so we can have fake community engagement. It's not gonna work. So what's going on right now? Since David Miyashiro became our district employee, everything changed. Our school rating went down, academically, culturally, and everything. And his salary is going up. The more our district is going down, the more his salary is going up. And our board members are rewarding him for this. Who is he to come to my city and destroy my kids' future? To destroy my home value and destroy everything and the community engagement. Not only that, now he's making infights between our elected officials. It's been for years, and now the new one, the one that we elected. That's why Tamara Otero is not here. We voted her out. She's not here. My Middle Eastern community by hundreds voted for Mr. Cajon. And he's gonna be here. What I'm asking here is for the board to stop what's going on. He works for us. We pay his salary and his lawyer's salary. I don't know if this is what you're afraid of, him and his lawyer. So what I'm asking you is stop this and fire Miyashiro. One of the agenda items for next meeting should be fire Miyashiro. That's it.
Well, good evening, everybody. Happy Valentine's Day. I'm here to represent Citizens Oversight for East County as a lifelong resident, and it's a long life so far. I'm here to thank everyone, especially the audience, for your being here. You're the reason that we're here tonight, is overseeing the board. The board is elected by us in the audience. The staff is here working to educate our children. I want to thank the staff for doing what you're doing. Transparency is the most key thing that when you have a public body, is to be transparent with the citizens that are the ultimate rulers over this body. You're there to oversee the education of our students, our children, our future, and that's what's most key. So it's incumbent upon me to participate in the process. And it's incumbent upon everybody else to participate. So, looks like I'm running out of time here. Oh no, I've got one more minute. For citizen participation is the key to good governance. And that's why everybody's here. And I just want to thank you again. Actually, that's probably good enough for tonight. But we'll be back. Thank you.
The next name, I apologize, the last name I'm not quite making out, but is it Sandy Pittmer? Oh, Sandy. Please take a seat. And then following Sandy, Lindy Gold, and Bentley Amanda Quantz Small. And then we have two more after these three.
You ready, Sandy?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you, everyone who has been for as much money as possible staying with the district to help the children and the teachers and not just go wherever. And I agree completely with the person who was talking with Tamara, and I'll say a little bit more. It was against state code 1090, as I understand it, that it was voted that she would get $10,000 a month after she resigned or after she retired. Oh my goodness. Why is that going to, that means $120,000 a year for however many years that this district isn't getting, and it's taking money from the school. That's illegal. It's unethical and it's illegal. And she had also, with her family, has had other illegal problems that should never happen and has to be stopped. People who are on the board and their family members are not to be getting money when they're on the board, or said that they will be getting money later on. So anyway, I thank you very much, and I truly applaud everyone who's been standing for as much money as possible, staying with the school district. And Anthony, I have, as some of you know, he knows, an accounting background, and I really appreciate your detail on checking on how money is going to really come back, honestly come back to the district. And something needs to be done with any and everyone who is leading this group astray. Jill was, and everybody was in agreement on a lot of things, but there were some major key things where Jill was the only one who voted correctly. You all need to really take your position seriously and vote for what is best for the children and the school district. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, ready? My name is Lindy Goebel, and as a resident of El Cajon and a parent of 2 adult children that went through El Cajon's public school system, I would like to welcome new board member Cajon. And thank you for your courage and your willingness to bring to light actions that may be unethical. I appreciate that, and I look forward to seeing how your role on this board will bring about accountability and integrity. Thank you.
Are you ready, Bethany?
John.
Okay, go.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, which are the only 2 genders. My name is Bentley Quantz, and I go to Los Cochas Creek Middle School. I'm here to talk about a recent 6-year camp experience. I've been going to Camp Larson since I was 7 during the summer. For the first time ever, I had a absolutely terrible experience because of the agenda being pushed by the YMCA counselors. In the first hour of being there, my gender identity was questioned. They told us if you identify as a girl, go to one side. If your identity is male, go to the other. This is how they determined who stayed in what cabin. At one point, one of the counselors even told my friend, "You should try being gay, it is fun." Every introduction included their pronouns and what they identify as. One guy named Jay, they/them, would harass kids for using his wrong pronouns. This same Jay patted down my friend without consent in the middle of the night while he was in his bed to check for devices or anything else not allowed to camp. On skit night, after the counselors had been yelling at us all night threatening to cancel it, my friend Nick, who has a disability, got to stand in front of the crowd. And as a good friend, I cheered for him out of kindness, and a female counselor named Cajon decides to yell at me, saying that I'm being malicious. She assumed I was making fun of him. She got inches away from my face, tilted her head, and continued to stare at me throughout his skit, not letting me see around her. She finished it off by threatening to send me back to my cabin alone to go to sleep. The counselor sucked the fun out of everything I've enjoyed about that camp over the past 5 years. I feel that everything there was so sexually orientated, and I just don't understand why they think they can do this and get away with it. I'm completely against it, and it's crazy that our world has come to the fact mentally ill adults have this much control over young kids. LGBTQ shouldn't have to be a topic in front of children, especially a ton of 11 and 12-year-olds who may not have had sex talk yet. I asked the board to let kids be kids, leave us out of these delusions, find us a new camp location like Indian Hills so my 3 younger sisters over there do not experience this terrible camp. I also asked the YMCA to do better. Thank you for your time.
Leon Wortham and Becky Wortham.
Sorry, I wasn't staged.
No, I was calling you up in that order. You're fine.
Okay, you ready?
Sure.
Go ahead.
San Diego Union Tribune. On her way out of of office, a school board member created a consulting firm so that the board could hire her. At a recent board meeting, some parents and district employees questioned why the expenditure, now under review by the Fair Political Practices Commission, was needed at all. Tamara Otero had governed over the Cajon Valley School Board in East County for 12 years, working closely with the superintendent and his cabinet. So when a district parent defeated Otero in her run for re-election last year by capturing 62% of the vote, Superintendent David Miyashiro and his staff suggested a way to keep her in the 1,480 student district, hire her as a consultant. Otero would continue her work in family and community engagement and with the district's TEDx Kid program, World of Work initiative, and more. Only now she would get paid significantly more than she would have as a board member. What we discussed was, well, quote, what we discussed was, well, once she's off the board, she can be hired as a consultant, and we don't have to lose that institutional knowledge, but also the hard work in a time when every department is understaffed. Miyashiro told San Diego Union Tribune. On December 9th, Otero, still board president at the time under this policy, filed paperwork with the state to form a new consulting company, Alphabet Soup LLC. The document did not include her name. At a board meeting 4 days later, minutes after Otero's successor was sworn in, the newly seated board awarded the firm $60,000 no-bid half-year contract, along with more than a dozen other consulting agreements. But in a district that is no stranger to accusations of conflict, that contract has drawn allegations of self-dealing and is now under review by the Fair Political Practices Commission. And parents of the district and employees are questioning whether such an expenditure is needed at all. The day after the December 13th board meeting, Otero filed another document with the state for her new business. This one included her name. 3 weeks later, Otero's successor, Anthony Carnevale, said he was reviewing the agenda materials from December 13th and realized that one contract was missing, Alphabet Soup. He asked Miyashiro about it and was told that the firm belonged to Otero. Believing the contract was a conflict of interest, Carnevale filed a complaint with the FPPC last month about Otero, alleging a violation of state law. In that complaint, he said that before Otero left the board, she had presided over setting the agenda for the December 13th meeting, where her own firm's contract would be voted on. I would hold the same view. Thank you.
The young man who spoke about the YMCA incidences. We need more leadership like you are providing to this board tonight. My 11-year-old daughter asked me tonight on the way here, Mom, how old does one have to be to run for school board? I'm so glad she's becoming civically minded now, because we are going to need strong, principled, trustworthy, conservative leaders who believe in transparency and fight corruption. I can't wait to support her campaign one day. What deeply troubles me as an East County resident, a teacher, taxpayer, and a conservative, and most importantly a voter, is that you all, every board member, with the exception of Anthony Carnevale, is willing to show your corrupt intentions so openly to the public. Actually, maybe that's a gift. Maybe it's good that we know that. If you haven't listened to the Carl DeMaio report, you probably should. How absolutely asinine you must think that supporting this blatant miscarriage of justice by voting for Alphabet Soup, this law-breaking vote, would somehow vote in your favor. Now that the spotlight is on your board and your superintendent, what now the public knows is what you have engaged in is a law-breaking act.
Yes.
Why risk your reputation for this illegal contract? Why risk your seat? What do you owe Tamara Otero? What does she have on you that makes you vote for something that breaks the law? Well, know this. The press, our community, the East County, El Cajon, we are watching and we know the truth. Your shady dealings will continue to be illuminated, and the public already knows. Board members, it's better for you to resign your seat than to scratch the backs of your board president and the superintendent. Do the right thing. Make the right choice. We are all watching. We are all voters. We have a choice, and we are collectively louder than the corruption happening under your broken leadership. James, you ask, who doesn't know the difference from the written law and interpreting the law? It seems you might not know the difference. Like Carl DeMaio said, I'd rather see the enemy I know on this board than the devil, and the devil I know, than those who openly support criminal and law-breaking contract. Anthony Carnevale, thank you for your hard work, for your transparency, and your honesty. Board members, do the right thing and follow Anthony's lead. Thank you.
CVEA.
He's not here, so no report.
CSEA.
No report tonight.
No report. CVAA.
I have one.
There you go.
Hi, friend.
Can you guys hear me okay? All right. Well, it's been an interesting evening. For those of you that may not know me, my name is Sarah Robinson. I'm the president of CVAA. I also have my vice president, Liz Lowe, for hanging out with me on this wild Valentine's Day. Since this is only our second board report, I thought I'd share a little bit more about CVAA and who we are and what we do. So I wanted to highlight a wide variety of humans who give their heart and soul to this community. Our CVAA members are a lot of different types of people. We have classified supervisors and managers in departments like personnel, purchasing, extended day, maintenance and operations, and many more. We're also a large group of site administrators, both assistant principals and principals. We're certificated directors, coordinators, and program specialists in ed services, special ed, and early childhood. And I'm sure I forgot a few. But I think, as you can see, we touch every single part of this district, and we serve all students and families in some capacity or another. And almost every single agenda item tonight has something to do with the work that we do. So now that I'm coming to these meetings, it's quite interesting to hear all of the pieces and parts of the puzzle coming together. Whenever possible, when I come to you, I want to highlight also the work of our members, because often we're quietly toiling behind the scenes. We're also often towing a very weird line between our employees and the work that we're asked to do in service to our families. So Colleen Newman and Jesse Nord, who are the site leaders at Hamashaw, asked me to share a few of their highlights of things that they've been working on and what a lot of our district funds go to on a day-to-day basis for kids. So they opened up their makerspace to all classes again this year, and all classes are participating once a week. Teachers have participated in professional learning, and students are using a variety of innovative tools and programs to build and create things. Also, recently, many of our schools sent students to JA BizTown, so we wanted to thank you for your funding of that really awesome experience. It's been a great time, and if most schools haven't gone, they're going to be going soon. It's also very connected with our MVPs and our World of Work initiatives. And one thing that was cool at Hamashaw this year is they included their virtual learning students and their homeschool students for the first time. So they had the same opportunity to go on that trip as well. Another thing I would like to highlight is our classified CVAA members. One who kind of works behind the scenes to do a lot, which is Marisa Diaz and her team. They've been working diligently to help with the hiring crisis. And one of the things they're doing is creating videos to recruit for positions like campus aides, paraeducators, and all of the many vacancies we have. And we know that these videos will showcase what a great place it is to work in Cajon Valley and help us find the people we need to join our team. And then finally, I just want to thank our cabinet and board for believing in us and supporting us when times get tough, because let's be real, it's already been a wild ride and it's only February. The CVAA members, like I said, we are often on the front lines of challenging and exciting initiatives, issues, and events. But even in the midst of that challenge, we are committed to providing a world-class education for each and every student and their family in Cajon Valley, regardless of what side of the aisle they fall on. So, thank you.
Board, do you have any future agenda items you'd like to add?
I'd like to add one. I brought some pictures for the board to share with the board of Crest Elementary.
Oh, I apologize. One moment here. Parent Association report. CVUSD PTA? Nobody? Gotcha. Anthony, please continue.
All right. Would you mind just passing these on down? I tried to get 5 copies, but this is the lower field at Crest Elementary on a sunny day.
After the rain, I see.
Throwing algae and standing water on that one that Karen's passing to her left. I think I've given all of these, but let's just keep this. On December 13th, I brought to the board in my board report that there appears to be a major stormwater shed issue off of the county road there. I contacted the Department of Public Works, asked them to fix the shoulder, fix the curb that is allowing the erosion to happen around the main electrical box there in the east parking lot. In the west parking lot, the apron coming from the county road down into the parking lot was just allowing like a veritable waterfall of water to just flow down onto the campus. Department of Public Works official told me that our 6-inch storm drains are insufficient, that we had made some changes to that western parking lot that was, he indicated, was basically the source of our problems. I was trying to, get Department of Public Works to fix it, but they're kind of putting it back on us. These pictures were taken by the PTA president there at Crest and sent to me, and she said also to Dr. Miyashiro, their concern is this area may be the leach field area of that school. They say there's a smell down there, and I went there and I was able to smell what they're talking about. Not sure if it's, hopefully it's not leach water, but when you have a saturated field like this, that's a problem if your field is holding water long enough to grow algae in the puddles. So an agenda item, and I'll go back to the first school board book I read. It said the first school board members were basically from the 1600s, and their job was to look at the facilities, make sure there's enough wood for the winter. So I'm not exactly sure, Mr. President, how to bring this up for the board to discuss and address and put the resources to it, but I would like to do that.
So I would suggest that you meet with Scott Buxbaum and John Reddy about these issues, because those are the two people that you would talk to. I can't overemphasize the history of not having the bond passed 2 years ago that impacted a lot of opportunity that would have had to fix things exactly like this. But I would talk to those two first. I don't know how to particularly agendize the item, but if we can cobble it together, Scott, if you'll work with Trustee Carnevale to see what we can get done on this topic, it'd be appreciated.
Yeah, but I'd go to the site slightly. Johnny, I know Johnny's already on it. This is the PTA president. I think they're aware of some of the issues up there, but he's already taken care of some of these pictures show. There is a bigger problem though, is the water table is so high there, that there's just nowhere for the water is seeping on the ground actually. It's so saturated. So there may be an engineering fix potentially. I've asked Johnny to look into that. I'm glad we can go out there, and any concerns like this, if you bring it to my attention, I can go with Johnny and we can figure out what the best how to fix these things.
And another option possibly, Anthony, would be to talk to Joe Anderson's office if it is a water table issue, because he's our supervisor for that particular area. So That way you get another organization to try to help the problem out. So I'm going to put you and Scott together first, and John, and then we'll take next steps. Sound good?
Yep, thank you, Scott, Mr. President.
All right. Board reports. Anthony, you're on a roll. You want to continue?
I'm going to forego my board report.
Fair enough.
I save it to dinner, guys.
Karen.
Forego mine as well.
Juliana? Joe? Well, in keeping in tradition, we can get out of here before 7:30, some of us can actually make dinner for Valentine's Day. Everybody have a good Valentine's Day with the exception of the superintendent, who has to give his report still. Please go.
I'll hold you hostage for 25 minutes.
There we go.
I'll forego my report. Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you very much. Final adjournment, 7:25.